20 persons join this lecture. So that I hope that the lecture will be very important for your works or for your capacity development. Okay, so let me start. Today's topics is about the modal split model and stated preference survey. And I'm not sure that the modal split model, the term of the modal split model is familiar with you, but someone knows. However, how about the stated preference survey? The number of persons who know this word is not so many, I think. So let me explain. Yes, as shown in the previous lectures, then this is the diagram of the four-step model for the demand forecasting. First step is trip production, trip generation, and attraction. Step two is a trip distributions. And third one is a modal choice model. Yes, what is a modal choice model? Let me explain about each steps. The trip generation, trip attractions is as explained in the previous lectures. And the trip generations is a trip make from the zone. And trip attractions is a trip made to the zone. Yes, as shown in this small figure. And next steps, trip distributions is according to the A and B, which is called by the OD pair, origin destination pair. How many trips go through these zones? Among in this figure, 25 trips is made from A to B. Yes, among these 25 trips, how many persons come by bus and how many persons come by car? This is a mode choice, so-called the modal split. Yes, and the calculations of every zones is from zone 1 to zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah, 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 100, blah, 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 200, and zone 2, 1 to 2, blah, 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 to 200, zone 3 to 1, blah, 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 to 200. The sum accumulations of the OD pairs by travel mode choices will be the so-called the result of the traffic assignment, which road is saturated, congested. This road is not so. Such kind of traffic assignment will be conducted. And you know this figure, it's a very famous figures about how the public transport is efficient in terms of the road space to be occupied. I think that this figure shows the number of persons in these figures, left figure and right figure is the same. And to carry the 40 persons, the 50 persons, the one bus is enough. However, to carry the 40 to 50 persons by car, the number of cars will be increased and the road space is occupied hugely. But this is a very famous figures. So the public transport must be enhanced. That it's a duty of the matter. I know that. So how to estimate the mode choice there is a several ways. Yes. Yes, and there is a several ways to estimate the modal split model. And there is two typical models can be explained, but not only for these two models. However, I just explain about this as a typical two types. First one is a modal share curve model, and second one is a logit model. First one, modal share curves, is a so-called aggregated modal split models. Principally, the targeted travel modes are limited to only 2 modes. Example, walking or some travel mode, or car versus public transport. And according to the 2 modes, the gap of the travel times and the travel cost will be selected as a so-called explanatory variable. Then as shown in this the tables, it's a little bit small. First column is the origin, destinations. The zone number is filled in this table. And travel time by bus and travel time by car. Travel cost by bus, travel cost by car is displayed. And then I think it's a so-called average value you can understand. Then according to this table, in this origin and destinations, then the so-called probability of the bus is chosen and probability of the car is chosen can be estimated. So according to this figure, so-called travel time and probability of bus gap between the bus and the car, and the probability of the bus is chosen is plotted by OD pair. Yes, according to this estimation result, and how the travel cost and how travel times is related to the modal share is estimated. It is a very, very simple way, and there are some so-called detailed and comprehensive transport data is necessary to estimate the modal share curve. So it needs to be concluded that this methodology is not so suitable at this moment in this metropolitan area. Second one is the logit model. I think it's a very typical methodology to estimate the modal split by the travel modes. Utility, the state of being usefulness and the profitability and the benefit is considered as a function, and it is utilized as explanatory variables. Yes, when you compare with the travel modes, and according some service aspect must be compared. For example, the travel time and the travel cost and service level. Yes, and these factors is converted into the so-called utility functions in terms of the utility of bus is alpha multiple travel time by bus and beta multiple travel cost by bus, and car is also. And the probability to choose the bus or car is the so-called explanatory variables, Napier values of the utility functions, and all modes utility functions. This is formulations of the probability to choose the modes. It's not only for the so-called the mode choice only. As shown in these figures, when you compare video game, yes, which video game must be purchased by you? Yeah, you can compare, and there are a number of available softwares and the cost, and when you compare with the Nintendo Switch and the so-called portable games and the homemade games, yes, portability can be considered as a function, service level. like this, when you compare the service levels of the alternatives, you are enforced to compare the every service model and to choose the each alternative. This is a very, very simple explanations of the Rosetta model. Yes, and in the Rosetta models, the aggregated Rosetta models and disaggregated Rosetta models is considered. Yes, the study target is the same. Yeah, mode and the objective variables is totally same. However, in the aggregated models, the modal share by traffic zone is estimated. Yes, and the aggregated model is partly similar with the modal share curve, which I explained in the previous slides. And the other large advantage, the estimation is easy for the aggregated model. However, one of the disadvantages is that sufficient sample sizes are necessary for each traffic zones. Next one, the disaggregated models is to focused on the probability of personal mode choices. So the individual conditions and personal attributes are considered as the explanatory variable. And the model estimations is more complicated way. Maximum likelihood estimations methodologies, which will be explained in these lectures, will be applied. And one of the advantages of the disaggregated models is it can be estimated from the small samples, which will be limited to 200 to 400 samples. However, the model estimations is a little bit difficult. So however, and the reliability of the explanatory variables is relatively low compared with aggregated one. And in this, in this project, the modal split model will be conducted by the disaggregated Rosetta model. Yes, aggregated Rosetta models, and this is totally similar to the modal share curve by OD pair travel time. Yes, 1 to 2, 5 minutes, and 1 to 3, 14 minutes. Sorry, 1 to 2, 10 minutes, 1 to 3, 14 minutes, such kind of parameters is estimated. And according to the travel times by car, travel time by bus, travel cost by bus and car, and the modal share by public transport and the modal share by car must be obtained from the actual condition. Yes, and this figure is converted into the like this format. Yes, and very complicated issues. However, according to these functions, then the travel times and travel cost by car and bus is compared. Yes. Then through these functions, the probabilities to choose the bus is like this estimated. Well, it is a little bit complicated, so I would like you to review this presentation material. If you have any question or opinions, I will welcome about your feedback. Then through the regression analysis, yes, the following following parameters can be estimated. Yes, and when the travel time and travel cost, how the travel time and how the travel cost is affected to the utility of public transport or utility of the private car can be estimated. Yes, if the so-called according to these parameters, yes, the travel cost is 0.0039 and travel times is 0.079. It means 20, 20 Kenyan shillings is same with 1 minute for both of the public the persons. It's a little bit complicated issues ideas. However, it is better to it is better to make you understand. So how the utilities functions is affected by the parameters of the travel times and the travel cost, yes, is very highly related to the mode choice models. Sorry, leaving I hide. And you can find this function 0.3898 is so-called the intercept, and it is only related to the utility functions of private car. Yes, and it means if the travel times and travel cost is totally same between car and public transport. Oh, sorry, I have a mistake in the bus. Yes. Yes, it is. Please understand that if the travel time by bus and the travel time by car is the same, and travel cost by bus and the travel cost by car is totally same, and everyone choose the car. Yes, this is a can be converted as a utility functions of the private car. Yes, this is a so-called in terms of the gap of the service levels of the travel comfortability or something, privacy or safety or comfortability of private car is converted as a numerical values as for the utilities for the private car. Next. This is the methodologies of the aggregated logit models. Through this utility functions, the probabilities of the bus and the probability of private car is estimated under travel OD pair by bus and OD pair by car can be converted like this. Next one is the disaggregated logit models. This figure as tables is totally same with the aggregated logit models. However, when you compared with the figure, yes, the modal share by publics can be described as a probabilities, and in this aggregated logit models, the number of OD pairs is supposed to be significant enough. Yes. But when you compare this disaggregated logit models, as I explained previously, the number of trips can be limited numbers. The limited number in the limited numbers, the disaggregated logit model can estimate the utility functions and the probabilities of the transport mode by OD pair. Then yes, it's a very, very complicated stages. However, let me explain about the maximum likelihood estimations. Yes. I think not so many persons have heard about these terms. I'm also not so familiar. The likelihood functions, yes, measures the goodness of the fit of the statistical model to a sample of data for given value of the unknown parameters. Yes, it's a so-called but very complicated terms. However, when you let me explain about picking up some examples. Yes, consider a simple statistical model of a coin flip. Coin flip means when you pin the coins and which is the top or which is the bottom is tested. And a single parameter that express the fairness of the coin. Yes. The parameter is the probability that the coin runs heads up when tossed. Yes. And when you try 6 times the coin flips and 5 times is heads up. Yes. If you naturally that the probabilities of the coins heads up must be 50%. However, when you try 6 times and 5 times heads up, according to the these estimations, the probabilities of the show heads up of this coin can be modelized through a throwing formula. Is the probability of the coin must be the 6 per 8, 6 per 5, 5 per 6. Yes. And when the behavior is modeled by the logit models, and likelihood can be defined as a probability to realize the behavior. Yes. So the maximum likelihood estimation methodologies is to estimate the parameter so that the likelihood will be maximized. Yes. Yes. According to this, the obtained behavior, the modal split probability of the choosing the mode A or mode B must be through the estimations. The maximum likelihood estimations is to set the parameter is the likelihood will be maximized. ここはちょっとわからないかもしれない。I think that's not it is a little bit unclear for you. However, it is better to explain as same as the previous aggregated logit model. This when assume the parameter on utility functions as same as the previous aggregated models. Yes. Then based on the situations, so-called the travel time and travel cost by car and bus, that the individual faced, the logit model is used to find the probability of each person's mode choice behavior. And when you multiply them to obtain the probability of the observed behaviors by likelihood functions through this functions and this formula, and the so-called the parameters, this colors, red colors, alpha and beta and gamma, will be adjusted to maximize the value of the likelihood functions. Through this methodology, the utility functions is visualized and is obtained, and the utility functions of the each modus is estimated, and the probability of the private car and the probability of public transport is compared through this formula. Yes, and the logit model has a so-called various types of the logit models. And in this slide, this is not all. However, the typical trees models, binary logit models, is to explain about the two alternatives, and the multinomial logit models is to compare the probabilities of more than two alternatives. And the nested logit models is to make a group into more than one or two groups from the each alternatives. And how they can choose the methodologies is up to the conditions of the cities. Yes. For example, when you consider the type of the logit and the characteristics of the logit models for the model choices compared, assuming some very simple situations. If you consider, and there is some cities which is a modal share of the public transport is 2/1, and the bicycles is also half. And according to this, in these situations, the blue bus, which is totally same functions of red bus, is introduced in the cities. Yes, you can see the model choice models is just compare the utilities of the each model, each alternatives. So as a result, the modal share of the red bus will be this 1/3, and blue bus is 1/3. In total, 2/3 is 6. 2/3 is choose the public transport. On the other hand, the modal share of the bicycles is decreased from 1/2 to 1/3, significantly decreased. Yes, it's very good for cities. However, it is not so realistic. And when you apply the nested logit models like this, the publics or bicycles is introduced like this, and the so-called competition between the red car and the red bus and the blue bus must be occurred. As a result, the probabilities of the modal share of the each model is like shown below. Yes. In that cases, the nested models must be applied in this city. So when you consider about the case in the NAIROBI metropolitan area, yes, as described in these tables in the ordinary persons modal choice alternatives, yeah, private car, which is only car available persons, and motorcycles, which is only for the motorcycle available persons, and taxi or Uber, and boda, and bus or matatsu. Yes, in these cities, the BRT, which is not existed in these cities, will be the alternatives of the modal choice. Yes. when you develop the multinomial logit models in these cities, so the utility functions of the every for the alternatives can be considered like this: travel times and travel cost, and so-called the dummy variables for the each modus. This shows the so-called comfortability, privacy, or flexibility of motorcycles and cars, taxi, and boda and buses must be uh, converted into the numerical values. And in some cases, like this boda is can be is tend to be selected for the short distance trips. So that if this trip is a short distance, the dummy variables must be chosen for the boda's utility functions. On the other hand, for the public transport on the BRTs, is selected for the long distance trips. Such kind of dummy variables can be selected. And yes, this is also very complicated. However, let me explain about the nested logit models. Then this figure shows when the probabilities of when you classified the models in these cities, for example, private car and semi-public transport, including the boda and the taxis, and public transport, including the public bus or matatsu or BRT. Yes, probability of selecting the option from M. Yes, the persons choose private or semi-public or public. It can be the formula is like this. And the probability of selecting the option I from option M is converted like this. Then the probability of selecting I, boda or taxi or bus or BRT can be converted into the multiplying the G's formula. As a result, such kind of S formula can be estimated. Yes, it's a little bit complicated and difficult for me to explain in details. However, I think you can understand the so-called general ideas of the nested logit models. And when you can note that there is a logarithm variables, which means the expected values of utilities obtained from choices. Choices not H. Yes, when the nested logit models is applied, that this such kind of logarithm variables must be estimated in parallel and will be converted, will be introduced to the probability of selecting the option groups. This is a very, very simple idea, simple concept of the nested logit model. Next one is stated. Then let me explain about the stated preference service. Yes. And the stated preference service is for the cities with rapid changes on travel mode behavior. Yes. Including the motorizations, the increasing of the taxis or bus structures, and the new service, including the BRTs. Yes, every issue is ongoing in this NAIROBI metropolitan area. In such kind of cities, it may be difficult to follow by existing models. Yes. On the other hand, in Japan, the stated preference survey is not so popular because the such kind of rapid changes can't be expected.
Yeah, sure. What time were you thinking? I gotta run home real quick, so why don't we meet up around 9 o'clock? 9 o'clock? Yeah.
Oh. Mhm.
You can continue, Dr. Futose.
Okay. Yes, unstated preference method is widely used to identify the behavioral responses to choice from the alternatives, including the which are not revealed in the city yet. Yes, so when you similarize the modal share of the planned travel modes, including the MRT, mass rapid transit, on the BRT, is possible. Yes, like this, and yes, I think that in the some participants join some survey about their stated preference pilot stated preference surveys. Yes, introduction was given to each option, and which includes the travel cost and travel times. Then the data from the surveys will be analyzed under choice modeling framework. So there, as explained in before, the utilities of the public transport and every other modes can be compared and to estimate the probabilities of the choosing some mode. Yes. In this cities, this stated preference service is to estimate the modal split, modal share, including the BRT. So some citizens are not familiar with the BRT. So in the stated preference survey design, some detailed explanations with the figures must be provided. And the design of the questionnaire intends to make the comparison between each travel mode easily. So such kind of questionnaire structures is developed. And the so-called, not only for the one series of questions might make some missed some so-called not so preferred result. Might be the not so preferred result. So I applied so-called experimental design, which make 18 combinations of the travel times and the travel cost by modes, like shown below. Yes, in this figure, trip length is only for 4 kilometers. However, the travel times and travel cost might be changed according to the road conditions, like this. And for example, when the BRT is proposed, the travel cost, so-called fare, is not fixed. So I'm not sure the BRT is chosen only when the fare is cheap, or some persons, the citizens may choose the BRT even if their fare is much expensive. So by the experimental design methods, such kind of combinations of the travel times and travel costs will be tested, and as a result, the result of the surveys will be converted to estimate the parameters. Yes. So this table shows the estimated parameters from the pilot surveys. Yeah. and so-called in totally 16 samples joined this meetings. It's not so much, not so enough. So the result is also not so good. However, please understand that these situations and the samples answered the Boda Boda and taxi is very, very few. So the result is also not so reliable. When do you compare with the binary logit models and the multinomial logit model and nested logit models is estimated. And then please note understand the travel times and travel cost. The parameter showing the beta is the negative value. Yes, it is very important items. Yes, if this value is positive, yes, the road is more congested. This mode, the travel time is longer. The travel mode, such mode will be selected. It's not so realistic. So so you need to know. Please note that the positive or negative sign of the parameters is very essential. It is necessary to check about the reliability of the model choice models. Yes. When you collect the number of samples through the surveys, I will update and share the result and discuss with you. Okay, thank you so much. That's all for my explanations.